Alrighty, we're getting ready to go into our first game of the day between London and Resolve. We've already talked a little bit about how all of these lanes are incredibly stacked. I'm so excited to see how they go, especially when Regan's making his return. Has the wrong tag on his name, which I've noticed on my screen right now.
Oh, does he still have the M&M Academy tag? That's pretty funny.
So we'll ignore that. But yeah, Regan, formerly from M&M Academy. And, last split, he was a support who seriously impressed me. Like, he was one of the top performing supports in the league.
100%. I think he was top 3 alongside Happy, who he's laning against today, and then Fastlect in spring. So definitely a very strong support. And like you say, because of that, we've got good matchups kind of across the board. Kenruro seems to be a bit of a weak side warrior because Resolve tend to play towards mid and towards the bottom side. And Akers, he loves his ranged weak side tops too. So what's that going to turn into? No Name, there's a lot of expectations around him. Bakako has been a very consistent performer as well. And obviously we've spoken about Aura and Billy. I think both these guys are probably, in the 100% in the top half of our performing guns.
Well, we're seeing the fresh band away. Even when it wasn't kind of meta, I always kind of think of this as a bit of a Regan special, something he was pulling out a lot last split. The Akali and the Lucian also banned away. Understandable bans so far, as the Gwen also taken away from Resolve. Obviously, typically a red side ban, and curious to see whether or not Beely gets his hands on the LeBlanc. The last 2 games he's played it, and he has been making massive impact for the team on that one.
Yeah, and question is, because I'm assuming you'll know, were both of those games into Akali? Because if they weren't, then they weren't. So
I don't think he's played it into Akali, actually, off the top of my head.
Very interesting then. So like you say, I'll be curious to see whether or not he locks it, especially because London do seem to also like the Xin Zhao pick, which obviously is the pretty strong pairing at the moment, Xin Zhao plus LeBlanc. It makes contesting mid 2v2 very strong. Resolve recognize that, and they actually ban it away. So let's see what the London first pick is going to be, because Rumble's fallen off. We're on 11.13 just for reference. So the Rumble nurse will come through. The Divine Thunder changes have also come through. We've got all of the new items as well. Nocturne is absurdly strong because of the new Stride Breaker. And that is going to be London's first pick. And honestly, curious to see where exactly it lands, because I think it's probably the strongest now in the jungle, but it still has a lot of that lane priority, which is probably is the reason why you pick up Nocturne a lot of the time. So we'll have to see, but the response was very, very swift from Resolve. Set plus Viego. We've seen a lot of this in the NLC. Bunch of skirmishing power just between these 2 champions, and of course it sets you up for a very strong AP jungle if you want it. But if not, you can always just, pick and mix. Put these these champions anywhere, pick up a mid lane AP champion as well.
And I think the nice thing as well about something like a set is if Nocturne does jump into your team, or Diana, you can throw her straight back out. It's going to be the pickup there for No Name. We'll see if London decides just to continue to look towards solo lanes, as that is definitely going to be a Nocturne top lane, or potentially mid, and they're going to put that Diana in the jungle. We'll see what Beely looks to go for, if they decide to pick a mid up here, or if they're going to look to try and get them something like the Ezreal, like a AD carry that they can go for.
Yeah, I think honestly Ezreal into these 2 champions that Resolve are showing at the moment would be a pretty good call. It seems like London agree, and they are going to lock that one in now. Over to Resolve, what do they want to do? They want to secure a solo laner and ban out 2 more, because there are quite a few AD carries up. MyQ seems to have a relatively large champion pool. Do they want to just get a counter pick now, like that Kai'Sa? If they want to go down that route of some of this dive that could come in from Resolve, that will be the case. And now I'm expecting from the Resolve side, probably mid lane bans. I don't think they necessarily want to remove away supports unless they're sort of weak side picks. That they don't want to deal with, stuff like Braum, for example, because you want a very aggressive support matchup, most likely on Regan.
Well, there it goes. LeBlanc is going to be banned away from Beely, so he's not going to have 3 games on a row in it. The Silas going to get taken away from the side of London. I think that's understandable when you're looking at the 3 ultimates available to him. Quite a nice couple of ults for him to take away. And we'll see what they decide to pick up as their next ban here for the side of Resolve. They could look to just trim the mid pool a little bit more, or look towards that support. See if they want to take away something like the Nautilus or the Karma. Completely forgot about her. So that's going to get denied. And now we'll see what London looking to ban away.
That's the Resolve ban's pretty interesting to me, because if I feel like if they wanted Karma, they've got a pretty decent Karma comp themselves, I think, especially into what London are running them on the opposite side of things. So let's see what London, like you say, are going to remove away. Is it going to be another mid laner of ours? He's mostly played the Silas and the Akali. I can't recall where his other 2 champions are off the top of my head. I think this ban might reveal one of them, but no, they're going to remove away the Rumble. They're expecting that maybe Resolve default to it, because Diana's obviously off the table. And the rest of the AP junglers at the moment, they're not so strong. You're looking at things like Lilia, for example, which just haven't really been in the meta for a very long time now at this point. But it's what I'm expecting, the jungle pick here. or at least maybe the mid lane, because like we said, Set plus the Viego are still very good champions, but they are going to default onto this Lilia. So they want the AP jungler, they want Viego and Set most likely in these solo lanes. So let's see what the response will be now on the London side of things. You've got a pretty strong sort of priority lane through Nocturne. You've got Ezreal, which is likely going to be a weak side lane because you're going to give over counter pick support. So yeah, I think picking up some engage here wouldn't be a terrible idea if you want to try and just allow Hepe just to roam onto the map, specifically towards BD's lane, and try and unlock that lane there whilst Mankey just sits in the bottom side on the Ezreal and farms.
We could see a like a Leona answer here for the side of Regan if they want, but now looking towards. I'm curious to see if this is actually going to be like a midnight Diana, but I feel like there is potential for them just to lock this in here and then put Diana in the mid lane and Nocturne in the jungle.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably going to be Nocturne mid though. I feel like still, whilst Diana is probably serviceable in the mid lane, she's still her strongest in the jungle.
Yeah.
At the moment. So over to Resolve, what are they going to do? Are they going to go for something like Braum on a sort of more defensive note, or would they pick up one of the more aggressive options? Like you noted, the Leona's really good here. They do need a little bit more sort of direct engage. They've got a lot of re-engage, they've got a lot of peel, but some sort of in power wouldn't be too bad. But instead, they're going to send the Set to the bottom side of the map into this Nautilus, and Renekton's going to end up going into the top side against the Gnar, or potentially, of course, Renekton and Viego very, very flexible in terms of where they can go. And that is going to be the setup here for Resolve. A lot of strong re-engage options here, in my opinion. Whereas on the London side, definitely a lot more sort of go. Try and lock down one member and a lot of single target damage.
That's what I'm seeing between these two comps is Resolve, their team fighting is going to be very different from London. London's going to be very explosive. If things don't land, they need to get out, because if that's not a good Diana roll, if it's not, a good Gnar, then it can just get turned on. Like you said, there is the re-engage. Nocturne jumps in on his own, he gets slammed into the middle of the team, and then suddenly that re-engage is going to be there. So I think London is going to make sure that they hit their R's right and get these good wombo combos, because they are just going to blow entire teams up if they land on this AoE. But on the side of Resolve, if these fights do start to get a little bit more extended and Ken Ruto starts to find the resets after resets, then it gets a bit worrying. I actually think it's really hard to call this one. I think both of these drafts are pretty good.
I think both these drafts have their very clear strengths and weaknesses. I look at the Resolve draft and I say, okay, they definitely want to be in front of objectives first. A lot of these sort of dragons, heralds, just because they want London to come into them, so that they can find these re-engage opportunities off that Set Ormet, etc. The Sleep, the Kaiser Ormet, Heartbreakers. And I look over to London and I say, okay, you've got mid lane priority, yes. You probably won't have bottom side priority. You potentially will have top side priority. What are you going to do with some of these early priority lanes when you don't really have a super aggro early jump in Diana?
Yeah.
She can get aggressive in some matchups. I don't know if Lilia is necessarily one of them, because I've quite frankly not seen this jungle matchup yet. So a lot of questions for me on what London will actually do in the early game. But I think this matchup in general, very interesting, because both of these teams are probably our best sort of early execution teams, right? Yes. Resolve tend to very much understand intimately their win conditions when it comes to a lot of the drafts they end up with. And London have definitely played the best with strong side, weak side gameplay. So I'm curious to see exactly how the early game is going to pan out in particular.
It's the other thing which I do want to kind of hit on is, I've said that I liked both comps, but London, to me, it does feel like ease of execution is there over the side of Resolve. It's not overly hard to, as long as they're grouped up to hit that Diana ult, to hit that Gnar ult. You've got a Nautilus, he can throw the depth charge down, and if it just look like it's going to work, they can just walk away and wait for it to come back up off cooldown. On the side of Resolve, like you said, they need to be in the objectives first. They need London to come into them. And sure, London want to be going into them, but Resolve have to kind of hit a little bit of criteria first, when it feels like London can just kind of snap their fingers and make a pick or a fight happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I won't say it's like Resolve don't have engage options, because technically they do, but those kind of engage options are typically very forced, very flank dependent, very vision dependent, in comparison to London's, where it's kind of just like hey, let's press our keys and go. So like you say, that's where the ease of execution comes in, right? If London can find picks before fights happen, or just in general find their man and blow them up, they will find a lot more success in these fights. And it's going to be on Resolve to respond appropriately with the tools that they've given themselves to a lot of these engage options that London have given themselves.
So just so you know, while we're still on our phases, we did have a pause at the beginning of this game. However, I'm seeing right now that it does look like the pause issues and the lag that we're experiencing anyway has ended. So countdown is running, and it looks like we'll be getting onto the riff for our first game momentarily. Just had to wait for a little bit of lag to get settled down. It's typically what happens, unfortunately, when you play on online tournaments.
Yes, it's very frequent, and yes, your caster here has also been experiencing this recently.
Yeah, I know.
You've not been watching.
You're changing ISP from one. I'm not going to say likely. Who to another one. Oh, yeah. Most likely. You said it with confidence earlier.
I said that if my issues are not resolved by X date, then I shall be moving.
Such a pain changing ISP though.
It is.
When I moved house, we. Oh, hold on. Might hold this. It's not Eminem and Resolve in the bush, by the way. Regan just has his old Eminem Academy tag.
Have the Eminem A tag, so I assume that will be.
I think things like this actually take time to change.
Yeah.
On the tournament client, and because obviously he was playing off in Resolve Academy, he was playing on the live client and not the tournament client. So his tournament account is still his one from last split season.
Yes, most likely the case. And well, actually, I imagine if he's still on Eminem A, the tournament realm account, I don't think it's actually been changed, because I think TR accounts typically take a while to be.
Yeah, it takes. I think it's not as quick, like name changing.
No. The name changing can be done very quickly as long as you actually get in contact with somebody to do it.
Oh.
I think I have no idea why he still got the tag, but it's not that important. We still know he is.
Maybe he's a sleeper agent.
Maybe he's
all along.
He's feeding information to Eminem.
He's gonna hear a certain set of notes, musical notes, and then in his Eminem game run it down. What have you done, Cacao? What have you done?
Spam control 2 3 times if it's time to go. But yeah, so a lot of focus for me, definitely on Regan, his Resolve debut. Like I said, I felt pretty strongly about him not finding a team in the beginning of the split, but he's now found his way on to this roster, which has been performing very, very well. And I think FGG definitely left a hole.
Regan!
Oh, here we go.
Going hard here as he goes in for the flash, and it's first blood for Meiku. Beautiful stuff there from Regan.
Yeah, real nice flash, and it's just a little bit of disrespect from Mankey. I mean, from Mankey and Hepe at the same time, stepping too far forward, not respecting the level 2 to come in, but Regan was definitely the proactive one there. Flash forward before the level 2s actually ticked over, and during the play, level 2s ticked over, able to find first blood. Hepe flashed as well, and still did end up dying, but you have to remember, Maiku did burn his flash for that play. Hex flash coming out here.
I would get a lot of damage onto Mankey. Not enough to kill him, but
oh my goodness,
he eats so much damage. Regan really putting his name forward in this game.
Yeah, and here's the replay of it. You see Resolve, they're about to hit level 2. You see, that's why Regan walked so far up. They've got that melee to work with, flashes forward with the face breaker. Hepe does his best to try and make it out with the early dredge line and flash, but it's just not enough. But again, here's Maiku that blew his flash as well to secure that kill. So now both the Resolve laners don't have flash. They have to play a little more cautiously when they don't have the jungler in the area. And of course, you know, you've got effectively 3 globals, 2 teleports, and of course the Nocturne armor to worry about. And if no name's ever down there with the setup, definitely can find their target. So there's Bakako on the skull, and no name already finished full clear in the skull, so he's gone for the reset. Going to be back out onto the map, and he's going to path back down to where his camps will be respawning. Bakako, however, on the opposite side of things, is pathing up towards the top side, where I believe he's waiting for his raptors, as he got a solo raptor start off. So these camps on the top side will be cycling a little bit faster, and he'll be able to clear those ones up and just be a little bit ahead on tempo once he resets.
Nice stuff there for Bakako. Now, 4 minutes in, no name also waiting for a camp to respawn.
It's the pain of the 2-minute 15 jungle times now.
How it feels to be a jungler.
Yeah. I'm still waiting to feel this pain, but my ISP has denied me the opportunity.
Oh my lord. How long has it been since you played?
I mean, I've played ARAMs here and there, but I've not played Summoner's Rift in at least a month and a half now.
Oof.
It's it's a dry period, and it's starting to get to me.
To be honest, a little bit of time off is always quite nice.
Yeah,
I'm always a big fan of a little bit of time off. I'm an advocate for it.
I will say for the past 7 years or so, I have quite almost to an addict's degree played a lot of League of Legends. So maybe it's a good time for me to be taking a break before I start to get into it. As indeed, no name slipped his way into this river. No
got the teleport. The hook by Jepe's not enough. Regan pulling people in, but the teleports are in, and Beely's here first, looking for Regan. Jepe going low. The ignite's been traded, and Regan's taken out by No Name. As also flashes forward and locks him down. It's a fiesta in the bot lane as Zakas joins into the fray. Here comes Bakugo with the slowdown, and this fight is just a bloodbath. Bakugo not getting enough damage off. His stun is locked down, but he's able to flash away and get himself a kill. This is beautiful play. Oh, London come out on top though.
Yeah, London come out on top. I think get 3 kills at the cost of 2 themselves. All starts off with No Name trying to sneak into that bottom brush, and it's like we kind of spoke about, right? Resolve, they had no summoner spells from that level 1 / level 2. And London tried to capitalize on it with a lane gank. They had both the globals eventually come down. Regan does a really good job of just standing his ground, buys a lot of time for the teleports to come in. At least makes that trade somewhat worth it. You get both the teleports out kind of across the board. I think considering it's London that start off that play, you can be kind of happy about it. And I didn't quite get to look at the lane states before the teleports came down, but still a 500 gold lead. A little bit more than that for Resolve Academy. 1 cage ballooned up, but of course we've got waves crashing on the bottom side. And it looks like they're even going to pick up the Dragon on the back end of this play. We get the replay, and yeah, Regan just stands his ground. He knows he's got the Haymaker shield to work with. Beely gets exhausted too, so he doesn't deal any damage. He tries to stone off Mikey on the backside, or flashes forward, picks up Pepe. And this is where it starts to look quite London favored. Bakugo eventually comes in, or doesn't really have much else to do. He's blown his cooldowns, taking down the support, but Bakugo does a great job, lands the watch out eat, manages to pick up Beely as well with that Q, flashes away to safety. All in all, leaves the kill score at 3-3. Resolve do manage to pick up the Dragon on the very back end of the play, and gold highlighted by our observers to see where it all landed. Equal up on the top side, about as even as it can be, I think, in the jungle. Only a 100 gold difference or so. Mid lane, it is R who is up about 300 gold as well, so you can definitely see where some of this gold lead is coming from, but again, it's not a crazy big one.
Yeah, the individual gold leads aren't that big, but you can see the items are getting picked up. You got the Tear, you got the Sheen on Mankey, the kind of Ezreal standard. Make you actually gone in for that serrated nice and quick, wants to get that upgrade on the Q with a longsword as well, so be getting that fairly quickly. Now he's gone for this build. Obviously, your first item does get slowed down. And Riftail spawning up about a minute's time. We might see some action there. Bakugo has to be careful. No Name and Jepe looking to find him out as the deer spotted in the woods and sprints away to safety. But London, they're bringing everybody leaning towards this top side. They're trusting Mankey's going to be completely fine in this bottom lane. Does have flash, does have the E, and we'll be able to true shot to trim through the waves. So a couple of plates get picked up for Meiku, but the pressure on the upper side of the map is going to zone Kenruto off the wave and turn into a Rift Herald for the side of London.
Yeah, that was a lot of XP and minions missed on the side of Resolve up in the top lane, as there you go, Kenruto just forcing hackers away. Of course, was mirrored on the bottom side. Mankey was forced off at least some creeps as well. I think, honestly, the CS leads roughly mirrored between the AD carries and the top laners, but of course, the big thing, Mankey might have just breeded it. Oh no!
That's unfortunate. That is unfortunate as hell.
That's not great. But yeah, you can see he can feel that one. He knows. But of course, the big factor to bring in here is that London.
Really?
It was. Come on! He got that so quickly. Our observer and replay guy are just such bullies. But yeah, of course, London, they picked.
Oh, looks like they're okay, although Akkas has got Gnar. Might be holding off, comes in for the Gnar, gets the slam down onto Kenruto as well as he is locked down. No Name on coming in for the pop back. And that is going to be the kill for No Name. And Jamada's internet died. I wonder why he stopped talking. I have some future vision. I'll carry on talking while I wait for him to sort himself out as the flash is going to come in onto Regan into that bot side. They're looking for the lilting lullaby. And it's going to put one to sleep underneath the towers. Watch out, Resolve. Find himself a couple of kills in the bot lane. Meiku going to be able to get some free plates. Meanwhile, in the mid, Otter getting bullied a little bit. They've been able to Rift Herald up in this top side. That's going to result in this tower crumbling. 2 towers traded out. Plates as well. Still got plenty of time on that.
That is going to be good.
Oh, you're back? No, he's not. He's not back. Oh, Jamada. You sweet summer child, you. Anyway, 2 towers now down on the side of London. Resolve going to be feeling the pressure a little bit towards Kenruto because that's a lot of gold that would have swung into Aka's pocket. As we're just going to take a look at the replay. It's pretty easy setup. The Narbar comes in. You have the CC chain. It buys plenty of time for Nene to come in, land the Moonfall. Actually dodged away by the Heartbreaker. So almost a nice play by Kenruto. But it too much damage on the tail end. Meanwhile, in the bot side, it might have looked like it was a start for them, but realistically, it is going to be a 3 versus 2, even with the tower. There's just too much CC, too much damage to be able to handle. Let's just take back to the Rift. The Dragon spawning up in 55 seconds. And like Jamada was saying, Resolve, they want to be on the objective first. They want London to come into them. London now have almost all of their ultimates up and available. Jefe not got that level 6 mark yet, so won't have the depth charge. And I'm not sure. He might be able to get it before the Dragon comes up, but realistically, they want to set up vision and move members over. But it looks like London might not even be overly interested. Aka's teleport's not quite up and available, and Eminem have started to play some of this vision down. There's not massive control for them, however, but there is a little bit of vision for them to work with, at least from the direction that London will be coming in. Now, Aka's teleport will be coming up somewhat soon as the Swirl Seed by Bakugo will give some kind of long-range engagement. Here comes Regan. He hasn't got a real flash, only the Hex flash. They can't just flash into the middle of the team to set this one up as waves everywhere. Not really in anybody's favored. Oh, he's back. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, well, I guess we know what's happening this week as like you say, yeah, this is a nice flank as well from Regan too.
Yeah, but they spotted him out. The Yu Yu's coming for the face breakers on. The slam is there. Can they find the CC? Oh, the Moonfall! This is the fight with Resolve resetting. Mankey untouched at the moment as Meikyu's got himself a triple kill. He's actually made it into the quadruple kill. The Heartbreaker is there. Can they find the pentakill? No, it's stolen away by Otter. You terrible, terrible man, Otter.
Oh, that's hilarious. And honestly, the move was so great, but it's Kenruro who doesn't die and he just starts to cycle through the reset. And it's Meiku who picks up all of the kill credits somehow amongst that mayhem. As, well, he does his due diligence and steals the pentakill away from his AD carry. I'm sure they'll be having fights about that.
Oh, he might not have been able to. He wouldn't have had a mark. He wouldn't have had a mark.
No?
Yeah, he didn't have a mark, to be fair. But he said he couldn't jump because he didn't have a mark on someone.
Okay.
There's no way in hell he wouldn't have taken that if he had a mark, right? We'll see in the replay.
Yeah, we'll see. So this is a great flank. Like you see, definitely spotted out, but it just happens so quickly. But it's the re-engage of the move pool, which kind of shreds through a lot of the diving members of the Resolve side. But again, it's Kenruro who just kind of siphons forms in the middle of that absolute cluster of mayhem.
He didn't have a mark.
Yeah, I mean, could have waited,
I feel they could have waited and given that to him.
If they wanted to give him the penta, they could have.
If he wanted the penta,
I think it was down. I think it was down during the fight.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was down during the fight. So I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm not gonna flame or Meiku for that fact. Just denied the penta. How it goes sometimes. You can't win them all. But what you can win is 4 kills. And if we could take a look at the gold, because that's the
oh my god.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, right? Kai'Sa typically is picked as a counter to Ezreal.
Yes.
Now she's that fed. I think Mankey's in for a very rough game until he gets his kind of realistically probably his 3rd item with a frozen heart.
All right, flanking Kai'Sa. I like it.
Yeah, might have to run away, but Jeppe looking to hunt him down. He's worth a shutdown. He's worth a lot of money. They're using everything in the Moonfall there. Shutdown given to Jeppe. It's a comedy of errors. But Otter coming into revenge. He might have denied the pentagon. He's looking to turn the fight. If they're going to lock down Bakugo, the slam comes in from Akis. And London have done a lot to turn this around. Kenruto not going to find the kill. This is a double kill. Picked up a no-name. And London just flipped this play back around. Gold lead swinging back and forth, to and fro. London come out of the fight.
Pendulum, baby. I don't know what else to say. Definitely some very curious decision-making coming out from Meiku there. Maybe he just felt like, it was only Mankey in the mid lane at the time, so he wanted to push up and try and just get a flank on him, but you just kind of take a look at the minimap. It's Resolve that have all the control on the bottom side. And just in general, when you have situations like that, you would expect London to be on the opposite side. So I don't know. Definitely very weird that he decided to push up there and punish for it, drops the shutdown. But I think crucially it goes to Hepe. So it's not the most damaging kill in the world to give over. Though, that being said, on this patch, the new Athena's Chains item seems to be the rush for a lot of these CC supports. So seems to be very, very powerful. As obviously the replay is on our screen. It's just the play turned around. It's a nice response from London. They bring the teleport down, axes in Mega. Ultimate pretty much seals the deal. Otter's really not able to do anything here. So let's see. It actually looks like he's going into, I believe that is the item components for a locket. So
do you want to talk us through this new item for anyone who might be missing out on the current patch and hasn't seen it?
Well, I'm technically missing out on the current patch and haven't been able to play on it either. But yes, it's a new item. It's approximately 2.5k gold. It could be 2.6. I think both the new items are 2.5 and 6 respectively. It gives flat health, CDR, but importantly, it has a sort of King's Vow, or Knight's Vow rather, type passive attached to it, where you can bind it to an enemy champion and you will reduce their tenacity, which is a very, very powerful tool to have in your kit if you're a champion like Nautilus, Leona, champions with a bunch of stackable CC that can of course be impacted by tenacity. So Leona's definitely one of the better users of it out of the engaged supports. I imagine it'll be pretty good on Thresh as well, just because I imagine you'll stay stunned longer on things like the Death Sentence.
It's even the
slow from the box would last longer. Yeah. So
and Flay.
And
nice things.
The Flay doesn't have a slow. I think it's just a knockback now. It was actually a bug.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I could be wrong, but I recall them fixing a bug similar to that. So it's a little while ago. Sometime during last year.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of freshes recently, and I'm not even noticing that.
No, exactly. Though I could be wrong, but I definitely. Oh no! I think the Flay used to micro stun people after.
Oh, so it does still slow, right?
I think it still slows. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
No. Okay. Yeah. I think I got muddled up there. I think it still slows, but I used to have a micro stun on it.
I got so confused there for a moment. I was like, what? It doesn't slow anymore for a year? No. What? Are you sure?
Yeah, no, it used to have a micro.
That's how much I trust you. That's how much I trust you, Jamada. Anyway, Resolve first on the objective once again. This is what you wanted to see, Jamada.
Yeah.
And this is potentially sole point. London need to find another amazing engage. They got Feely on the flank with that paranoia. Riftail's going to get summoned in the mid lane there by No Name. And they're looking to contest. They're looking to fight it. Beely has to be careful. The Spectral Maul's coming in forward. They're jumping in, looking for the slam back. Everybody's pulled in. And that is a two-man moonfall onto the Menders as London are just running through people left, right, and center. His damage is high, but he is taken out. And London find himself a 5-4-1.
London just decimate Resolve there. And even though it was Resolve on the objective first, you can see obviously the gold lead ballooned by that fight, but they were still ahead in gold. And take a look at some of the inventories as well. You can see why they won out here. Crucial iron breakpoints like the Zhonya's coming out, but even that wasn't used in this fight because it was just such a one-sided affair. Akaz finds the backline with Beely. They take out MyQ before he's able to even add anything to the play. Real nice fight, all in all, from London. There was very little Resolve could do about that one, as I don't think this charge is going to go off, unfortunately.
It's funny how delayed everything was there. We were just having kills and start credits still coming up.
Yeah.
This game is, it runs perfectly. It's the best of times. Let's go into the replay and see the fight once again, though.
Yeah, so you can see on the front line, it's the hook which removes Otter from being able to defend the backside. And you can see Regan also doing his best to hold his ground, but the backline is just being absolutely devastated. Lilia and the Kai'Sa not able to do anything. Kenrura escapes the backline dive, but at the end of the day, there's only so much he can do. As a lone Viego, did do his best, almost got a second reset off onto No Name, but even with that reset coming in, I don't think he would have been able to have done much more. And that's sole point denied, I think, crucially. And I think if we sort of compare and contrast the first time these two teams met, it's a stark difference in performance from the London side of things. I think you could potentially sort of speak about it from the Resolve POV. Of course, they've got a new support in, first debut game. Of course, just in general, slotting a new player in mid-split is not the easiest thing in the world to do. But I think it's also credit to London because they've played spectacularly today, unlike their first matchup against Resolve, where they, quite frankly, they didn't get to play the game. I feel like their draft really let them down in that game, where there was not a lot of agency. In this game, I feel like, you know, there's agency, yes, but even compared to their first draft, I don't think it's that much better by leaps and bounds, in theory at least. But doing a much better job at dealing with Resolve and sort of applying pressure on the back of their plays.
20 minutes in, you got the Divine Sundra, you got the Mana Mini. Muramana actually fully stacked up as Kenruto looking for Akers. Does a lot of damage to him. Flashes with the Spectral Maw to lock him down, and Akers gets his heart broken, and Kenruto looking to run him through. Akers waiting for the Narbat to come through. Gnar's out in time, looking for the slam. Can he find it? Into the bush he goes. Kenruto unable to find the kill, and Akers somehow surviving all of that, although actually looking to teleport away, not wanting to fight the Mega Gnar.
Understandable, that one there, as just wasn't quite sure where the rest of the London members were, and BD was on that side of the map with a Paranoia ready and available. Just gonna escape death that time with the teleport, but it means it won't be up for the Dragon, so lane assignment's gonna have to be very forced with Renekton up onto the top side, which I don't think Resolve are too worried about anyway, for when this Dragon spawns in about 2 minutes.
We'll see, whether or not Resolve are going to feel like fighting it anymore. Maybe they want to sit back, but have we got scaling on the side of Resolve? What are we looking at on the scaling front?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit difficult to call because I feel like Kai'Sa scales spectacularly. Obviously, Ezreal is Ezreal, right? He scales fine. He's not that champion that kind of spikes to the mid game and then falls off greatly in DPS in the late game anymore. Something that Orcs speaks quite religiously about, which honestly I agree with him the more I thought about it. And just in general, front lines are relatively similar. I think some of the bruisers and divers kind of deal sort of similar damage even once they've hit their sort of late game fantasies. So I think it's going to come down to execution. I think at the moment, London obviously have an innate advantage. They're 5k up, so they're going to be able to control, vision here in the jungle, and they're going to be able to sort of choke Resolve out slowly. But I don't know if scaling outright is strongly in favor of either side here. I think it's going to come down to whoever is able to pick up that thing on screen, the big purple worm. As it's honestly, for Resolve, if they're able to pick it up in a game state like this, it's going to delay the game enough for them to probably come back into it. All of the gold swing XP for London, it'll probably be one of these straws that broke the camel's back to the victory here over Resolve.
I mean, I just want to talk a little bit about the vision as well, because you're talking about the Baron. There's a couple awards being placed down by Resolve and a couple by London, but neither team really has full dominance, although at least for the side of London, they were starting to move the wards and the vision line further in to Resolve's jungle, and Jesus, it still so much damage. It feels so much damage.
That hit the minion wave first, right?
Yeah.
Before it hit?
Yeah, I don't want to say yeah with complete confidence on that. I think it did.
Well, yeah, so it could have been even more. Don't forget about that. Second Infernal Dragon picked up for London.
4 Infernal Dragon Soul on London would be terrifying.
Yeah.
I mean, we just saw how much damage he did with the true shot.
Yeah.
4's a lot. You get a lot of damage.
Yeah, and there's a lot of strong appliers of the Soul here. Ezreal and Diana, I feel like in particular, apply it super quickly. Of course, Nocturne also not going to turn his nose up at it. He's going to get those procs down very, very quickly with those auto attacks. And just in general, Infernal is considered sort of that universally good soul. It's hard for Infernal to be a bad soul.
Yeah.
In comparison to, Ocean, or just all the other ones, really. They are a little bit more situational as time has gone on. So I do remember when Ocean Soul was a legit game-ending soul.
Yeah.
Never again, please.
I mean, do you remember like early Ocean?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I remember released Ocean Soul. It was just not...
Literally, if they had Ocean Soul, everyone was a tank because they just healed too much.
Yeah, a champion like Kai'Sa, for example, who at this stage in the game has 1.5k HP, would artificially have about 2.5 or more thousand HP because of how much regen she would get.
I just remember seeing videos of Olaf's popping R
God,
and just
yeah.
being literally immortal because you can't even CC them. And they're just like, oh, it was so stupid. Anyway, Baron getting started out. Old Drakes aren't relevant, and it is going to be an Infernal Soul anyway. Eminem, not Eminem, Resolve, goddammit Regan. Moving in, seeing if they can find a way to contest. They pop the Squires and the True Shot lands onto a couple of members. Teleport's coming in though. And it looks like they're looking for the turnaround. Like you said, Akers is in Mega, but he hasn't got long left on it. Coming over the wall, the Paranoia is being popped. Akers can't make his mind up on where to go. And Regan trying to zone through Mankey, but Mankey going to be able to go down. This is Making Falling as well. And only Kenruto will stand.
Kenruto stands because he wasn't a part of the fight. It was a 4v5, and even though Akers had a lot of indecision about where exactly he wanted to go and make his mark on this fight, it didn't matter because No Name Mankey were able to stand their ground with, I believe, Hefe on the dive of Otter and the remainder of Resolve. So despite Mankey being zoned out, I don't think it would have made much of a difference because look how quickly the divers of Resolve kind of just get minced. Oh, it's flash forward from Bakako, but he misses everybody on the sweep, so he can't put anybody to sleep. And it's just not the best executed fight by Resolve anyway, but I feel like on the terms they were on, London likely would have come out ahead at worst, I feel like, for themselves.
You see the total damage dealt this game, not just in that team fight. Imagine if that was a 12,000 damage fight from an Ezreal. But yeah, mostly, it's actually a pretty even spread of damage, realistically, across both teams.
Yeah, it's, you've got a couple of outstanders or outliers, but yeah, as you say, mostly even, particularly across that Resolve damage graph. Everyone saw, I believe it was about 7,000 to 8,000, maybe 9 on the high end. Everyone pulling their weight, which, I mean, given the draft, you can kind of see it. All of these champions do deal a lot of damage in their own right. But now it's over to London.
Yeah, well, you got the dragon spawning up in about 2 minutes time, 1.5 minutes. London quite happy to use this Baron buff and siege into the base on multiple fronts as Bakako does eat a Crescent Slash from No Name.
But it won't be a trigger pull. They won't dive necessarily. I like the application of this 3-2.
Well, Stopwatch is going to get used. They're going to look to throw No Name in, but he just flashes away. The hook lands onto Regan. Big shield is there, but it's not going to be big enough. The Paranoia by Beely. As the depth charge comes in. There's the flash. There's the moonfall. It's an absolute whitewash. As all 4 members go down in the mid lane. And once again, Kenruto's not there, but Akers will just wallop him down. It's a delayed ace for the side of London. Soul not even necessary. Jeppe going to tank for the minions. And London will be looking to close this game out here as Jeppe takes an honorable death. 27 minutes on the clock, and London obliterate Resolve.
Yes, much better performance here out of London Esports in comparison to their round 1 matchup against Resolve Academy. And in general, I think London, they've been ramping up a bit. We saw a little bit of inconsistency throughout the first round robin, but they've been looking better. So week by week, I've lost focus apparently because why wouldn't I? And yeah, Resolve Academy, we've had some interesting losses come out of them in general, right? They dropped to they dropped to Lucent, and they dropped obviously to Eminem as well. And now they've dropped to London. Not quite the full-on performance we was expecting out of them as the split progressed out of the first 2 weeks, but honestly, all credit to London. In my opinion, they played that one out excellently.
Yeah, London honestly played that really well, especially when they lost that first fight pretty badly. It was a pretty bad fight for them. Like, they picked up a couple of kills, but realistically, it was Resolve favored. And then from there, it was just like, okay, London, they're done playing. They have those engage tools. They have those kind of snap R's. And, every time we saw No Name land an absolutely stellar moonfall onto multiple members. You had the big Nars coming in. Just the execution was very, very good. Anyway, it's time for us to throw to a break. And when we're back, we'll talk a little bit more about that game. So we'll see you in a moment.